So the article I chose for this assignment was Nutrition Sustainability as an Emerging Food Policy Discourse. And we see right from the get-go that the authors, first of all, they're using the third-person point of view through all of this report, but they also blatantly say that this paper contributes to the process of giving a map and analysis to policy responses to food choices, not just food choices in general, but policy around them and how we can facilitate those policies to be both more sustainable and healthy for both humanity and the planet. As we continue, we also we first see that they address the problems with maintaining a sustainable food plan and policy as our population continues to grow, and how we continue to influence both positively and negatively the ecosystems that exist around us. We also see that we cite multiple scientific sources that do agree that the food system is both a key element to our environmental impact and sustainability as a whole. And the main question that arises from that is, can we really eat however we would like and also do that more cheaply while reducing our footprint at the same time? They also address the issue of defining the word sustainability, which can be very different depending on the context in which it is used. And it is sometimes used as a shorthand just for environmental issues, but can contain very different specific definitions depending on the field of study it's being used in. And in the field of nutrition, it is mainly about how to efficiently diet and sustainably diet to the point that we can still be a healthy population while also reducing the negative impact that we do have on the planet. And a big proposition for this, as is evidenced right here, is green consumerism and super efficient technology such as solar power and other production means that reduce environmental impact. Another thing to note with this study is that while it is very source heavy, as is evidenced through the multiple citations as we continue through, is that it focuses mainly on European impact and not so much North American and other continents, as the Nutrition Society is based in Europe. As we continue through, we also see that parts of Asia and Africa are described as contributing to the nature of food waste in the food system, right here. And as many of us know, food waste is a growing problem, especially in developed countries, but more so becomes an issue in undeveloped countries or underdeveloped countries when we see that natural disaster is limiting the harvesting of perishable crops like fruits and vegetables, which can lead to great losses both for farmers and for the people that are consuming said fruits and vegetables and other crops. We then move in out of the problem of sustainability and more onto the topic of policy. And in the realm of policy, we address the four major hotspots of national nutrition policy. And the first being is waste. And waste can be of any sort, whether it be what the food is contained in, the food itself, how it is produced, how it is shipped, how it is handled, how it is packaged, whatever that may be. All of this creates waste. And we're still working on many different methods to try and figure out a way to combat all the waste that our food system currently creates. The second, and I think is almost as much of a contributor, if not more than waste, is meat and dairy, because although both are very important in our nutrition, they are also very impactful on the environment, meaning that it takes not only a lot of resources to produce these things, but also a lot to maintain them, and is extremely expensive to try and reduce the environmental impact of these practices. Our third hotspot then addresses the topic of fish, which I did not personally realize was that big of an issue. But wild harvesting has started to plateau, and we have now gone to global fish stocks and personal use of fish as opposed to catching them in the wild. The fourth, and I also think this is another major issue, is sustainable diets. As many of us know, a sustainable diet is not always the cheapest option, nor is it the easiest to limit waste from, and which is why it is one of the major hotspots of policy engagement, because there's further research that needs to be done so that we can find ways of eating healthily while also reducing the impact that eating healthily and sustainably, consistently does create. We also see some examples of food consumption and production, and as provided in these, we see Germany, Netherlands, Sweden, UK, to name a few, and the government agency over their certain policies and their policies regarding better shopping practices, better food choice practices, better farm to table, better boat to table, wherever it may be, whatever the food source is. They're looking for more sustainable, efficient, and green ways to feed their populations. We then focus more on the role of Europe, which is not applicable to us, obviously, but the part that does apply to us is the transnational dimension of nutrition policy, which would regard all countries working together, no matter where they may be located, working together to facilitate ideas in ways that can improve our consumption and how green our consumption is. We also see in this time another table, again illustrating some policy initiatives and whether they focus on in the environment or food choice in and of itself, or the reduction of waste in the food production cycle. Looking ahead, the author provides a little bit of bias here, actually, is what I noticed, but it is also research-based bias, giving ideas that they believe would work, whether it be food governance that is multi-sectoral rather than independent agencies working in and of themselves, when they should all be working together to advocate for better choices everywhere for everyone. Another case they make is defining sustainability in the terms of food, because, as we mentioned earlier, with the mixed definitions and potential interpretations, if we don't all are not on the same page addressing these issues, then we're not going to know what sustainability really means to us if we're not all going towards the same goal. In our third table, we see some omni-standards, as the author titles them, and how they bleed into sustainability, whether it be economic, governmental, environmental, through health, social issues, or quality of food itself. And then we see some stressors created by the food production industry, and note mainly that biodiversity loss is a major issue. The nitrogen cycle imbalance is affected greatly by food production and agriculture, and climate change, as we've heard, is also a major contributor to these sustainability efforts. I think the author's purpose in addressing this, as they mention here, is what we should focus on, the 5 topics that we should focus on in addressing sustainability. The first being land, the second being the application of chemistry to manufacturing, the third being the emergence of biological science and how we need to continue to push forward with that. The fourth being the trade revolution, which has completely altered consumer food choices. And the fifth being shifting our thinking from economical to ecological thinking and finding a way that, rather than worrying about who is profiting or what is best in terms of money, we need to think about the earth more than ourselves. He also addresses nutrition engagement in development and how with a sustainable diet comes the ability to educate people in what a sustainable diet actually is and how we can reintegrate nutritional practices into science so that we all know how to make the right choices for both the earth and ourselves in terms of dieting.